All right, today I'm gonna do a review of the P-38 Lightning by 21st Century Toys. This is in 1/18 scale. It's a pretty big plane. I do have the box, and like my other videos, I usually do unboxings, but in this one, the box wasn't in great shape, so. And looks like it's been played with a little bit when I got it. Other than that though, it's in pretty good shape. Usually these nose-mounted guns are messed up. And a lot of the ones I see, but this one is in pretty good shape. It has all the ammunition as far as like the rockets, the bombs, the other rocket pods. So apparently the P-38 was the first fighter plane to fly faster than 400 miles an hour. And I think the top speed was like 443 miles an hour. Probably because it had the twin engines, and the twin engines were actually Allison V1710s. And had turbochargers as well, which kept it extremely quiet. And this plane's detail is pretty good as well. I like the thing 21st Century Toys did on this one, and they did on some of the models. It looked like they added some weathering. It looks like some exhaust smoke. Looks like going on there. Same thing over here. And also on these, I think they were rocket pods. I'm not 100% sure. There's 3 of them here, but you can see it looks like some weathering there. And also on this one. And I noticed these propellers, when they spin, and I don't know if this is correct with the actual plane, but this one only spins to the right. If you try to spin it to the left, it will not spin to the left. And this one only spins to the left, and it won't spin to the right. Now the blades, the props are actually, the exact same though. I think the direction would have to be different. The pitch of the blades would have to be different for that to actually work. Otherwise, I think this one would be going backwards and this one would be going forwards or whatever. But, and the canopy does open, and I think this is accurate because what happens is you have the top lift up here, and then you have the sides slide down. And only this side slides down, the other side doesn't. But pretty cool whenever you close it, it lines up pretty good. As far as the ailerons do move up and down a pretty good distance too, on both sides of course. As far as the rudders though, the rudders do not move, neither do the horizontal stabilizer. In the real plane, these would obviously move. Here's some of the writing. This one says, use 100 octane fuel or better. And you can see there's some scratches on this one. Obviously, this one was displayed or played with. It says, caution, disconnect electrical wiring before removing wingtip. Down here, same thing, kind of 100 octane or better fuel. And they really wanted you to use 100 octane or better fuel. So there's obviously a reason for that. A lot of the no step markings on here. And what does this say here? Yep, same thing as the other side. Looks like right here, this is where the battery location would be. I mean, the paint on this one I really like. They have different variants of paint on these P-38s by 21st Century Toys, but I've always loved the silver. Looks like invasion stripes this one has. And then right here, I don't know what those insignia markings are. Usually it'll be like the Luftwaffe or the Japanese or whatever, but which, speaking of that, what's really funny about this plane is they had different nicknames. Like the Germans and the Japanese would call it different names. I think the Germans call it the fork-tailed devil because of the fork tails, obviously. And then the Japanese called it 2 planes, 1 pilot. Because it basically was 2 planes put together and then there was 1 pilot. But I mean, I'm telling you, the fact that they ended up putting the guns in the front too made it way more accurate. Wing-mounted guns, when they'd fire them, they'd have to come in a crisscross pattern to intercept the target straight down the middle. So you weren't as accurate because when the bullets would cross, they would obviously spread different rates and they would go off like that and like that. With center-mounted cannons like this, they just shoot straight. And the pilot was shooting over the nose, so he had a better accuracy. Didn't have to go through the timing of the blades, as when the guns are mounted on top in front of the blades, which most planes had in World War II, jets, at least fighters, not jets, but prop planes and fighters, they would have to time it to where the bullets would only shoot in between the props, otherwise they would damage the props. So if you were going at a lower RPM and your props weren't spinning as much and you had to fire, you'd actually have a shorter burst in firing to make sure you don't hit the props. Let me flip it over here for a second. So on the underside, we have, looks like the shell ejection port. And you do have some writing here. Let me see if I can get that. It says, U.S. Army P-38 L5LO, Air Force serial number 4328-438, looks like. Crew weight, 200 pounds. Let me get in here. Service this airplane with grade 100 fuel. Man, they really wanted higher than 100 fuel, 130 fuel if not available. And then I don't know what else that other stuff is, but action suitable for aromatics. That's funny. Underneath here, you have, looks like lights. I guess they were formation lights maybe. And then here's the 2 bombs that they could carry. And this plane could carry a ton of weapons. I mean, as far as a fighter jet goes, or fighter plane goes, this was it. They would use this to bomb, and it could do everything. It was fast too. It was had the 2 turboprop. This is, I mean, this thing they use for everything. And I think this is actually the only plane that they kept production through the entire World War II. All right, so about these rockets or missiles, I don't know which ones they are. They obviously weren't guided if they were missiles, but they do detach, and there's 5 of them on either side. There's no writing on them, so I don't know if that's accurate. Probably not. Usually they had some sort of writing instructions on how to handle it. But they're pretty, I mean, honestly, weight-wise, they don't feel cheap at all as far as like quality. They definitely feel solid plastic, which is nice. Because some toys, at least some of these 21st century toys or different models, just are made cheap. But this came out of the box with the wings detached. Of course, the fuselage and these 2 twin engines were attached. All this was one piece, but the wings were separate. And I believe you could detach these, I think right here, hard points. Not 100% sure, and I don't want to take it off now just in case. I don't want to break it. But it came like this in the box. And right here, I'm not sure what that is. I need to research it. But all you do is snap it in place. Like my other videos, I kind of show you how to assemble them. Okay, so the trick to putting the wing back on is if you squeeze a little bit here, it'll flex it in because it's pretty tight fit, which is good because you don't want it coming off. So you put it up like this, squeeze it in a little bit, and push it together. And honestly, this plane feels pretty hefty. I mean, if you pick it up like this, you can't tell. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break or anything. Here, I'll get a better camera view. But you can pick it up like this and play with it. But it's not gonna cause any problems. It does flex a little bit, as you can tell, but not much. It doesn't feel like it's gonna break or anything. Okay, also a little fun fact, this thing had a wingspan of about 52 feet, which is pretty big for a fighter plane. And I think the range is about 1,300 miles. And if I'm not mistaken, there were about 3,810 of these made. So right now I'm gonna kind of show you how the landing gear works. It's unique to a lot of the 21st century toys. Elite Force did this some, but basically you have sliding landing gear. So there's a little slot right here. I don't know if you can kind of tell right down there that it fits into, but you kind of lift up, and then these little slots on either side that the wheel actually slide into like that. So it slides back and forth, and then you just lay it down. And then of course the landing gear doors just snap into place like that. And then there you go. Okay, so the front landing gear, you basically would swivel this tire to the other side to where this is on the back end, and then you just push it down in that slot, you maneuver it down. I'm not gonna do it because it's pretty tight right now. It's a little hard to get out once you get locked in place. But that's how it works, and then you just close the door, and that's it. I'm gonna show you a detailed view of the cockpit. Okay, so we're gonna open the canopy again. Slide down that window there. Lift up the top. I'm gonna pull the pilot out. So here's the detailed look of the pilot. Came with a parachute attached. You can't remove that. That actually came as part of the piece. Did come with a gun and a holster, which you can remove. And it slides in right there. And it also came with an oxygen mask. So he comes with this scared look right out of the box. Not 100% sure why. But yeah, once you put once you put on the oxygen mask, it doesn't look as bad. So it's got these little slots in the side of the face where the oxygen mask will fit. Here's a detailed view of the cockpit. It's kind of hard to get in there to see the gauges. That does move. Doesn't move forward and back. And there's a look at some of the gauges. You can see the rudder pedals down there in silver. Wish I could get this open a little more. Looks like it has the fuel mixture, throttle, and all that right there. Don't know if that's the battery radio box back here. It's got 3 different colors, white, blue, and looks like gray. Then there's another box back here. If you know what those are, let me know in the comments.